Let's talk about forms and inquiries from website visitors. First of all, we have the link to our inbox in the menu. The inbox essentially consolidates all communication methods from messages on the site to chats. It's all here. Automatically, when we create a website, we have a kind of chat here. You can enter the chat and essentially start a conversation with the site manager. Okay. The moment we actually send the inquiry, the user sends the inquiry when we go to the inbox. We will actually see this inquiry online. How are you today? Of course, we can respond to them. And this is essentially how we conduct a dialogue in the chat through the website. Another way to receive inquiries from the website is through a form. If we want to add a form to the website, like in this case, here we essentially have a kind of Q&A, but we don't really have an existing form. We can create such a form. Okay? So let's assume we want to create a simple contact form. We will go to Custom and Lead. Form. And here we can actually create a form. How do we create a form? Create form. It took us to this interface for creating forms. Yes, we can first choose what type of form we want, whether it's a basic contact form or a general form. Okay. Do we want selection options? Do we want date fields? Payment fields? Different buttons or different elements? Let's actually start designing the form. In any case, we have the option to preview to see a display. Settings. Let's assume we first want to know the email or the first name of the person sending us the inquiry. We simply take the first name and drag it into the form. Once we've done that, we can see the settings here on the side. General settings. For first name, let's say we want the full name and not just the first name. Below, we have selection options. Is this field mandatory to fill? Let's set it to yes. Yes, meaning the user must fill out this field. If we want to display placeholder text, once we click on it, we can actually write a note inside the field. Of course, we can edit it because we changed it to full name. We'll update it here as well. Okay. And if we want to add some description to that field, okay, something that will appear below the field, okay, not mandatory. Let's add another field. It shows us that we have already used this. Now we want to know the user's email. We'll drag it below. Let's set the email as required, a mandatory field, and we want to display some text. And email is perfectly fine. If we want, for example, a phone number, that's also possible. Okay, in this case, we'll add a placeholder, but we won't require him to fill out this field. Okay. We have many more options, such as the option for him to write a long text, company name, position in the company, a text field for writing comments. Let's finish this. We can change the title. And again, is this a mandatory field? Placeholder. Let's add, play with it a bit. What you see in purple is only for the plan that we upgraded. So if the plan was upgraded, we could allow the user to sign or upload any file. In choices, we can give the user the option to make a selection from a list. For example, if we wanted to let them choose from any list, for instance, okay, what are you interested in? And here we can add options, for example, pickups or bridge. We can, of course, add more. Okay, and here too, you can choose the default value. Okay, and of course, whether it is mandatory to provide a description. Okay, so of course, it's not mandatory. Let's move on to the last element, which is essentially the button. Okay, we can add any button here and determine what it will do. Okay, in the setting, since we already have a button, we will use it. This is essentially the button that will send the form. You can see a preview. This is how it looks. Okay, setting. Just give a name to the form. Okay? And when we have finished working on it, let's save. Okay, so we have one form on the site called My Form. We've already given it a real name. Let's see how we actually embed it on the site. So, back to the site. Let's say we want this form to be displayed here. And this is essentially the first task we do in the studio, which will prepare us for the upcoming lessons. I'm returning to edit mode. I can actually see on the site that every part of it, every section is built separately, meaning this is the bottom of the page, this is the Q&A section, and this is the contact section. Okay, the head, the top of the document, and here we write the page name and the menu. So we can actually see that there's a place for the form here. Okay, let's click on it. Setting. We see the form that we just created, the My form. We select it, and we can see that the form has actually been added to the page. Okay, let's perform, publish. All right, let us now take a look at the site. Okay, we can view the site. Okay, let's go to publish. See, view, site. Customer service. And here's the form. Let's try to submit. If we click on submit, of course, it won't let us. We set full name and email as required fields. So let's write something. Select from the category and submit. Okay, thanks. We received your submission. Let's simply go back to the dashboard, to the inbox, and to the lead easily, smoothly, effortlessly, and seamlessly. And we can see the inquiry here. Okay, this is the first inquiry we just sent. You can't see my phone, but I also received a notification on my phone. Let's see it. See? Actually, I receive a copy of the inquiry via automation to the email defined on the site. And additionally, in the dashboard, I can see all the inquiries that came to customers and lead contacts. Here's the inquiry. I can view the inquiry. Okay, and of course, continue handling the inquiry. Add notes, add tasks for myself, create a quote, create an invoice, remove the inquiry. Anything I want.